Hello, Bill Molyneux here. Fastplay wargames, Bill Molyneux games, and we're doing another unboxing video. This is the French Indian War board game volume 2 with 14 exciting battles of the French Indian War. And a moment on the box cover. Our box cover is Fort Frederick, a really cool fort at Big Pool Springs, Maryland, near Hagerstown. It's a very large stone fortification run by Park Ranger Robert Ambrose and Bob Studi. And I like to volunteer and help out there. They're wonderful people. And Robert Ambrose chose this picture for Volume 2. And he also helped co-write a scenario for this, which I think is really neat. So we have 14 battles, and rather than bore everyone and just read off the box, we're going to just open this up. And I don't know if you may have seen Volume 1, but if you haven't, we'll go through everything. We have our D10 die. The game system used D10. Now, this is the reprint from Savage Wilderness by Lock and Load. However, COVID hit, and we never really got rolling with Savage Wilderness. And one of the things we did change when David Heath, got to give a shout out to David Heath and Lock and Load. He gave me all the files, and I have Superior Print on Demand making these now for me with Jeff Valent. Counters pop right out. And these are huge 1-inch counters. These counters just rock. And being old like I am, it's almost 60, the old Avalon Hill counters, I don't think I could play an Avalon Hill game anymore at times. So these are huge counters, front and back. So our counters are there. Now, I'm just going to open it up and we'll see where we're at. And some of these scenarios, so we have Devil's Hole, Viewport. So we got 2 exciting battles on that page. So there's going to be a couple scenarios I'm going to spend a little bit of time on. We have Bloody Run and Grand Prix. And heavy cardboard again. Just incredible, big, huge 1-inch hexes. Showed in the last video, and again, these are popping out really nice. And rounded corners, they fit great in these hexes. So, let's continue. Fort Oswego and Mercer's Massacre. Well, Fort Oswego, we have multiple forts. It's an interesting battle. Fort Ontario is a really cool historic site even now. Just amazing how good these came out. The Bloody Morning Scout. It's up by Lake George, German Flats. And the artwork here, just phenomenal still. Kittating, Fort Bull. Fort Bull's doing a reenactment now. And what's interesting about Kittating is Hugh Mercer of Fredericksburg, Virginia fame. He was at this battle. And then he went on with Washington. Very close friends with Washington, the Hugh Mercer Apothecary in Fredericksburg. And he fought at the Battle of Trenton, and he died at Princeton getting stabbed by a batch of British bayonets. Very interesting person. We have our Fort Niagara game. So, Bob Emerson, who runs Fort Niagara, there's a little bar across the street. I had a dinner with him and his nice wife and the Regiment de Lorraine this past week. July 4th weekend. And this battle is the French relief force going to Fort Niagara. Okay, well, we have a special scenario coming up. The Battle of Fort Frederick. And there's our stone fort. The problem is there was never a battle at Fort Frederick. So, why do we have this? Well, I went to Robert Ambrose, the park ranger, and we came up with, or really, he came up with this, and I just took off what he sent me. So the French have decided to not pursue north, such as invade up near Fort William Henry, Lake George, but they decided to come in from Fort Duquesne and try to go to Alexandria, Baltimore region. But they would have to take this fort out. This scenario is a 3-part scenario, 10 turns per 3 scenarios. The French keep flowing in, the British keep flowing in, and you got to take out Fort Frederick. Very unique, to have park ranger come up with a super duper scenario. And I also have to say, Robert Ambrose and Bob Studi and all, I love volunteering and helping out when I can. And they carry my games in their gift shop. And I really want to make sure I do a shout out for that. So, what do we have next of our 14 games? Well, look at that. It is Fort Ligonier. Now, this scenario, Fort Ligonier is an awesome site. Matthew works up there. Erica Knuckles used to. She's moved on to another museum and art gallery, I believe. The most unique thing about this scenario is Dr. Walter Powell, who is quite famous in the world of history, Gettysburg, Plymouth Rock. He also did a lot for Fort Ligonier. He oversaw this scenario. He made sure that I had the map correct, all the buildings, everything, and the order of battle. So, to anyone out there that is going to review my games and find fault with anything, I'll tell you right now, the Fort Ligonier scenario is perfect because Dr. Walter Powell spent several weeks sending back and forth emails with me to make sure I didn't screw this game up. So I really thank Dr. Walter Powell for all the time he took to make this game. And I do believe they will be carrying this at their gift shop. So that's where we're at with our 14 exciting scenarios. We have our same terrain tracker. It tells you your abilities for movement. And we've come to the manual. Now, here we have Tom Hinkleman again, same as he's on the cover of Bloody Mohawk, Volume 1. And here we have Dennis McKibben. Dennis was the best man at my wedding a few years ago. And same exact rules from Volume 1. And Lynn Otto is again in here. And there I am in my Regiment de Lorraine kit. This is Dave Bybee. He was in my wedding party. I had a French Indian War wedding. So we have reenactors featured in every page of both games. Jeffrey in charge of artillery at Fort Niagara. And I think it's really neat and unique to have the different reenactors. And here we have Robert Ambrose, who runs Fort Frederick. The Fort Ligonier scenario. There's my son Ethan being dragged away by Tom the native. Let's see if we have anyone else here. We have Dennis. This is Mike. He runs Fort Loudon near Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. So, now we're getting near the end. And I'd like to just take a moment out to say life is short. And Ed the Highlander here, he passed away a few years ago. Very, very sad. Very young man. So we dedicated this game in his memory. He was very good to my son Ethan at events, and we have him on the back cover. So we've switched out the logo from Lock and Load to Bill Molyneux Games. Can't say enough for Lock and Load and David Heath for giving me these files. Jeff Valent at Superior Print on Demand for making these super duper maps in the extra heavy cardboard. And I guess I can't stop talking about these counters and how nice they are. Rounded edges, corners, and huge. Well, I zipped through this pretty quickly. It's still 10 minutes long. 14 games. This is on Fastplay wargames site, Bill Molyneux Games, and I think you get a lot of games for $60, and a lot of people helped. The shout outs are endless. Of course, Fort Ligonier, Fort Ticonderoga, Fort Niagara. Gonna say thank you again to Uncle Buck, a new friend that's helped out, George Bray, Dr. Walter Powell, and the list goes on and on. Again, my goal is to have games like this, low complexity, in gift shops for new wargamers, young pre-teens and teens, and moms and dads to learn about the French Indian War. And to everyone that lives in Maryland, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, if you haven't been to Fort Frederick, it's right off Route 70, and it's a stunning fort. It's really big, 18, 20-foot walls. Great historians work there. Well worth the visit. So, I think I covered everything, and I'm just amazed at the quality that this game came out. Jeff Valent did just incredible. So I'm going to end this with stay safe, be kind, be courteous, and visit your local historic site. And I'm going to say thank you. Good night.